I want you to listen to these people speak. This lady, this man, there's another man over there with them too though. But I want to bring up something before they speak too though. It's basically economics and consumer product producing consumer like the consumer. Let me get to my point. I'll take this class, college class. It's free on TV. You could take it. It's online. You could take it. Hillsdale College. Look into it. All kind of good stuff. But anyway, they was explaining demand, supply and demand. But you all know that, right? So what they were saying, they brought up the apples and oranges, and they brought up the apples and oranges. So supply and demand. If I have plenty of apples and oranges, that means the prices will go down. But I have less apples and oranges, it's common sense. Then the price is gonna rise up. So that's what's happening right now. We had plenty of energy in the United States, so our prices was down. We don't have plenty of energy in the United States no more because of Joe Biden, so our prices is up from oil to everything else. It's not because of Russia. Watch and see.
For $12 per gallon gas. That's what a chair of a major gas company said on Tuesday at the Energy Intelligence Forum in London. And following that prediction, OPEC went and cut gas supply to the world, planet Earth, by 2%. This is Sharif Suki from Tellurian. Tellurian. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. He said getting U.S. gas in the water for $4 to $5 is something of the past. What he means in the water is like on shipping containers. So, getting these $4 to $5 a gallon prices, something on the past. If you really want to justify an investment, you have to start thinking of $10 to $12. That is a price that you would charge consumers. Of course, we all knew that OPEC was going to cut gas supply because they've been hinting about it for the past week. And they had a meeting today in Vienna, and they did just that. They did it because profits have been down for gas companies because demand is down. It's this spiral of sort of domino effects. So global politics have brought on gas price hikes. Gas price hikes caused a drop in demand. And now gas producers are upset that that drop in demand has cut into their profits, so they're manipulating supply to ensure their profits. Now, when you think of this instance of like all the players involved, there's politicians, there's consumers, there's oil producers. The politicians absolutely are playing their part, right? Because of their politics, it's causing a drop in demand and a drop in availability, right? The oil producers, they have a role in it. They can do something. They can manipulate price and supply. The consumers here, we basically can do nothing but bend over. So here is this question in this instance: who loses when gas supply goes up and goes down and prices go up? Is it A, politicians, B, consumers, C, oil producers, or D, Russia? Now the media would have you believe the answer is D, right? That we're really sticking it to Russia. The real answer, folks, is B. You.
Oh,
us.
consumers. Okay.
Consumers.
I was thrown.
Who's losing? It's a negative question.
I was thrown off by the question. I read it like 5 times.
Okay.
And if you're in the chat wondering, are you going crazy? No, you're not.
It's like an SAT question.
There's a word missing. So
okay.
Yes. Who loses when gas supply does and prices go up?
Okay. Yeah.
So when prices does.
Sorry, that was a typo. Okay.
But I was like, am I losing my mind?
You know what? Tonight I have my glasses on, so when I did my screens later, sorry about that. Thank you for pointing that out. That's like when you mistype a tweet and you're like, boy, I feel really stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. The answer is B. It is consumers.
So when gas, okay, I'll just read it. So pretend like it's fixed. Okay, who loses? Who loses when gas supply goes down and prices go up? Consumers lose.
Consumers.
Okay,
It's you. Okay.
not surprising.
You know, my father, he has a landscaping company with about 100 employees, and they drive trucks around all of the time, all day to routes. And I just don't know what he's going to do. He has to keep making more and more cuts
I mean,
because
California
of gas prices.
and he's in California.
He's in California. So let's talk about specifically what OPEC did and then what the media is screaming about. Now, OPEC says they're going to cut 2 million barrels per day from global supply.
Hold on a second. Let's just put that in perspective. The prediction was 300,000 barrels per day. Now, when we covered this a few weeks ago, would be cut. When we covered this a few weeks ago here in Zero Hedge's reporting on this, 300,000 was going to be a real kick in the nuts. Okay, 2 million now is the number instead of 300,000.
Yes, they are calling this a voluntary adjustment. And these countries all agreed to it. Now, OPEC is a group of oil exporting countries. It's kind of like, you know, the original was developed in 1960. And then OPEC Plus is kind of like junior varsity team. They are all oil exporters, but they came along later and they all had to vote. Now, the mainstream media is focusing on only one of these member countries to blame this on. So the original OPEC countries were Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela, and then added later Algeria, Angola, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Libya, Nigeria, and the UAE. And then later in OPEC Plus was added an extra 10, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Brunei, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Mexico, Oman, Russia, South Sudan, and Sudan. So again, of all of these countries that had to agree to this, right, the mainstream media will tell you it's Russia. This is just like one export of the news that was served to me today about how it's really Russia. It's OPEC aligning with Russia. It's Russia's fault, even though they are only one amongst many oil exporters.
Well, the plus, so it's OPEC Plus, and every news article that I read was OPEC Plus. The plus stands for Russia. That's what they were saying. Like, that's the Western media spin on this. The plus stands for Russia.
Okay, so let's just parse out the numbers a little bit, okay? Because on the OPEC website, it gives you this chart of what these, what do we call them? Voluntary, what did I just say? Voluntary adjustments are, right? Are we able to zoom in on that? Because if you see who are the biggest exporters of this, I'm sorry, okay. Who are the biggest exporters on this list are in fact Saudi Arabia and Russia. And so they are giving voluntary adjustments, meaning reducing their amount by 526 each one. So it does look like the main drivers of this are Saudi Arabia and Russia. But I decided to take this chart and then just put it in a spreadsheet of my own to parse out the percentages. So I did that, and you notice that they all are ranging from about 4 to 5%. Every country's voluntary adjustment is about the same percentage of what they are producing right now and what they were expected, their projection. And then if you just do a data sort, by percentage, you can see that Russia is not even pulling back the highest percentage of oil. So it's pretty easy to see if you just have a sort of basic understanding of numbers and know how to run a spreadsheet. So why is the West so pissed about this? It's because it will make it harder for them to sanction and stop using Russian oil if there are fewer places that will sell them oil alternatively. So the Saudi energy minister, Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman Al Saud, called out this media bias when he was asked about this today. He says, you know, every time I talk to you, you turn this into a Russian story, and I'm tired of this, so I'm respectfully just not going to talk to you. This is him speaking to a Reuters reporter. Listen.
This is great.
Alex Lawler from Reuters news agency. I had two questions.
No, Alex, I have to talk to you about. So you have got it wrong.
Okay.
And you have got it wrong twice.
Before I ask a question,
and you will get it the third time if you did. Reuters did not do a proper job. You talked about Russia doing this and that, And actually, the day that your story came out, no one from Russia talked to me, nor I talked to anybody from Russia.
Oh, wow.
You repeated that again with another tale of a story prior to that Saudi and Russia, blah, 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 are congregating around $100 price. That is not true. And I spent 20 minutes from one of your respected members of your bureau in Dubai, explaining to her, or actually 25 minutes, why we don't go as Saudi Arabia for price targeting. And that 25 minutes went in vain, and I really don't like that. I acted in a very respectful way, emanating from respecting the agency, and I think, but you elected to choose a phantom Saudi source.
A phantom Saudi source.
If I could
Source.
do it as British as I could.
But
And that, my friends, is Reuters for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep playing the rest of that. I'm sorry. I was just jumping in because he was like, yeah, you just cited a phantom source, even though you spoke to me and I told you we didn't even talk to Russia. We don't price target. There's no connection with Russia on these price targets. You just went around my back and you made up a story. And he's calling them out right in front of this room. And you've screwed up twice now. I'm not going to answer your questions in front of these people. Anyway, keep playing it.
But if you have questions, direct it to others, but not me. I'm not talking to Reuters until you respect the source, which is the energy minister on behalf of the Saudi government.
Okay, thank you. I won't ask.
So you ask the questions to any of my colleagues.
Okay, so he's saying, look, I'm the guy. If you are actually going to quote me, then don't say that I collude with Russia. Don't say that I'm talking to Russia. That's not happening. And I already told you this. So burn, right? No thanks to the Reuters reporter for this, outlet pushing this narrative of Russia over and over again. Now, CNN reports that President Biden was all but begging OPEC not to do this, not to decrease supply. They describe the administration as having a spasm and panicking. Look at this article. It says, it's important that everyone is aware of just how high the stakes are, said this U.S. official. The White House is having a spasm and panicking, said another official, describing the latest administration effort as taking the gloves off. According to a White House official, the talking points were being drafted and exchanged by staffers and have not been approved by White House leaders or used with foreign partners. So what they're going to say in response to this, they're still drafting it furiously. I'm sure it will have something to do with like Sham and
Putin's price hike.
All of that. In a statement to CNN, National Security Council spokesperson Adrian Watson said, "We've made clear that energy supply should meet demand to support economic growth and lower prices for consumers around the world, and we will continue to talk to our partners about that." What exactly they can do at this point is unclear. They said, we're going to see about it. Again, it would be interesting if this led to more sanctions, because that is their strong arm talking point. Like the sanctions got us here, and so we're going to have to sanction, right? Recall that President Biden went to Saudi Arabia to convince them to increase production this summer, even though he said he would never do that. He would never actually meet with Saudi Arabia, or
they'd be a pariah.
He was going to treat them like a pariah. Well, now he's getting the opposite of what he went there and asked for. And the White House is having to scramble to pretend that this did not happen, this was not his fault, and in fact, President Biden was really not that interested in oil when he went to Saudi Arabia. Listen to how the White House wants to have it both ways. Peter Doocy pushed them on this.
You've said the president was responsible for gas prices coming down. Is the president responsible for gas prices going up?
For 2 years, a secret army of federal and private
responsible for gas prices going up.
So it's a lot more nuance than that, right?
Oh, we like
Peter,
nuance
you know
now. Okay.
this. There have been global challenges that we have all dealt with. When I say all, meaning other countries as well have dealt with since the pandemic. There's been pandemic and there's been Putin's war, and Putin's war has increased gas prices at the pump. We have seen that over the past several months, and what the president was able to do, he took some historic steps. When you think about the Strategic Petroleum Reserve and making sure that we were able to do everything that we can to bring that cost down for American families, give them a little bit more of a breathing room. And we saw that. We saw that every day this summer, saving American families over $1 per gallon. And so that is what the president's going to continue to stay focused on, our American consumers. How do we continue to keep prices down? That's why we did the Inflation Reduction Act. That's why we talk about the CHIPS Act. All of these things are going to help Americans here in this country.
The Inflation Reduction Act added taxation on foreign gas. So
and the strategic reserves, they're the ones they were selling to China.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and the CHIPS Act. I mean, so
what do chips have to do with gas?
Nvidia can, get lower cost chips, and Nancy Pelosi can make money with her investments. What the hell does chips have to do with the price of gasoline?
I don't know. And when Peter Doocy then asks about this trip to the Middle East, well, that was a bust, right? And she goes out, she straight up admits it and says, yeah, that was too bad. No, I'm just kidding. She does the exact opposite. Go ahead.
When the president went to Saudi Arabia, he said, I'm doing all I can to increase the supply for the United States of America, which I expect to happen. What happened?
So I want to be very clear, and we have said that, his trip to the Middle East was not about oil. It was about America's position in the Middle East and consultation with 12 leaders from across the region on a range of issues similar to his summits in Asia or the Americas, and later this year with African leaders. The president's trip was crucial. It was critical to U.S. national security, a more peaceful, integrated region, and for global security. And there were plenty of examples that we laid out to all of you as of why this trip was so important.
Yeah, it had nothing to do
Thank
with oil.
you so much for clearing that up.
Oh, well, they wanted to be friends, but now they absolutely do not. They do not want to be friends because they are taking this very personally, specifically from Russia and Saudi Arabia.
Biden told us specifically then, when he got back, why he went there. And he specifically laid out, I don't know if we have the soundbite or not, but he specifically laid out, I went there because I was negotiating gas prices, making sure that everything was shored up. And take a listen. This is how he said it after he went. Listen.
We had a good discussion on ensuring global energy security and adequate oil supplies to support global economic growth. And that will begin shortly.
Okay. So Corinne then is lying right to those reporters. No, the president himself said that he went there to talk about this, and it was about structuring oil, making sure that oil would flow to the United States.
Right, and so if we play out her narrative, so you went to be friends, but now you don't want to be friends because we're pissed at them, right?
Right.
So that's how your friendships go.
Let me make this crystal clear, okay? That is not what happened.
Crystal clear.
All right, let me make this crystal clear for you guys because you don't seem to get it.
Are you listening?
Okay.
Are you listening? I'm going to make this crystal clear. Are you listening?
I am listening.
When he leans into the microphone and guys, are you listening?
I'm really going to get them. I'm going to get their attention.
Where's Jackie? I did that. Jackie here? Where's Jackie?
All right.
Sorry.
Well, let me make this crystal clear, is that the price of crude oil did rise on this news. It had been over $120 a barrel earlier in the year and then had been plummeting to $75 per barrel in September. And now you can see that there is an upward trajectory since speculation began that production would be cut. You see the sort of bottom of this chart hits right on speculation.